Okay, I guess we're on air. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks for finding the time. Today, we're having webinar number 4 of the educational webinars we're having this year from Pushwoosh. And before we talked about some basic concepts and basic notions, how to get started with Pushwoosh, how to build effective segmentation, RFM analysis, and touch some other topics. So starting from today, we're going to focus more on kind of on industry-specific things. And during this webinar, we're going to talk about the challenges of engaging users through push notifications in the news and media industry. So just in case we don't know each other yet, so I wanted to introduce myself. So my name is Alina. I'm a member of the customer success team here at Pushwoosh. I have Stan here with me today also. Hey, Stan.
Hi, nice to meet you all, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and just before we dive in, I wanted to let you know that in case you missed the previous webinars, feel free to drop us a note into the comments so we'll be able to share the link with you. And also, this webinar would be recorded so we can send a link after the meeting as well. All right, so let's not waste time and probably look at the agenda that we have prepared for you today. Right, so right now you can see like the top challenges that we observe in the news and media industry and that we're gonna touch today during the webinar. Right, the first one is obviously getting your users' attention from day one. Right, so how do you capture that attention? How do you retain your users? Then how do you stand out on the tiny crowded lock screen of the end user's device? We are overwhelmed with digital notifications and digital messages these days, so we're gonna talk about how you can, make your communications more relevant and different from your competitors. Next one is probably the most intriguing and the most interesting part about today's conversation is how you can keep your users engaged and engaged. How do you make them come back to the application? How do you make them open it up, right? So, and at the end, I'm going to also talk about the metrics related to the efficient communications through push notifications, right? So, and I'll give you a spoiler on that. So it's much more beyond just CTR and open rate because users of the news in media applications have their own habits, right? These are different from other industries, and we're going to talk about that later on today. We make sure that we have some time saved for the QA sessions. So just in case you have any questions as we speak, feel free to drop them into the comments. So we'll go through them at the end of our session. All right, once again, thank you. Let's get started. And the first thing I wanted to discuss today is basically some probably most common monetization strategies that news and media applications currently have. And in most of the cases, these are either of the two. Either they're advertising, and here we can attribute any types of sponsored or paid advertising content. And it can be an advertising package across different channels inside the application, right? So, as opposed to it are the paid subscriptions, right? So here you can promote some exclusive content and offer the subscription plans from free ones to the premium ones to your application users. But regardless of what kind of strategy you adopt inside your application, the ultimate goal is always to keep your users engaged, to grow the monthly active users metric, the daily active users metric, and basically to engage and to retain your user base, right? Because in the end, it's all about click-throughs, links, link follows, right, and views, etc., etc. So how do we do that? Let's talk about the first challenge, and that is getting users' attention, right? And when we talk about getting users' attention, I wouldn't say it's a recommendation, it's a must-do thing. Segmentation, right? So you have to segment your user base from day zero because the more relevant your communications are, the more likely the users would opt in for notifications and the more likely they would get the value out of them, right? So, and the more likely they would stay with you and they would not opt out, right? Of course, you have to avoid spamming and make the communications as relevant as possible. And there are a few ways to do so, right? So from a high-level perspective, you can do it by means of the application framework native tools. And usually these are those onboarding screens that you land on after you open up the application for the first time, right? In many cases, users are offered to create the news feed and select the categories of the notifications they would like to subscribe to. On the other hand, so it's actually an example of such onboarding you can see on this video, right? So where we select the favorite teams that we would like to receive updates about. And just right next to it on the right side, right? So there is also another good example of how you can offer your users to change their mind if they wish to later on, right after the onboarding. So it is very common to have, it's a good practice to have this kind of screen inside the app where the users can change their mind, right, and to opt in for other categories or opt out of the previous ones. And sometimes, for example, there's some global event going on, right? So as a user, I might want to subscribe to the alerts about this event for a limited period of time, and then I should have an option to do so, right? So that's what relates to the native application tools. But within Pushwoosh, maybe you don't want to make that on the development level, right? Within Pushwoosh, we also offer you a few tools to start segmenting a user base from day zero, right? And when we talk about it, we mostly talk about the in-apps. In-apps are highly customizable, programmable HTML banners that you can display inside your application. And an example of such banner is this one, so basically the one on the left, right? So when you can also segment users by allowing them a choice of categories and topics by displaying this HTML banner inside the app, and that is available within the platform already. So by having a couple of API calls, you can pass this basically the result of the user's choice, the tag values, technically speaking, right, to Pushwoosh database, and then use this data for segmentation. Also, if we talk about the web applications, the websites, right? So a similar tool here, a similar approach here can be followed with a subscription prompt, right? So usually it's just a blank, boring, prompt, but it can be also customized. So the subscription prompt can also offer a choice of the categories and topics to subscribe to. Thus, you can understand the preferences of your users from their first day and send the communications, make them more relevant. Okay, and what else can you do to catch the user's attention right from the first day of their user's lifetime inside the app? You can onboard them and activate them well, right? Many times I hear people come and say, I want to work with retention. I want to improve my retention metrics. Although before you start working with retention, you have to properly activate and onboard your users. Because if you don't do so, by the time you start retaining them, it's basically no one to retain, right? So a lot of users tend to drop off before they get to that stage, right? So in order to onboard, so we touch the onboarding screens inside the application, right? But there is one thing I don't like about these onboarding screens is because this is just a couple of seconds that user basically sees them inside the application, and the next day, users don't even remember what you wanted to tell them during these onboarding screens. So a recommendation from Pushwoosh team is to kind of stretch that onboarding period a little bit, and try to build a habit and educate your users about your killer features. Every application has some cool killer features, and basically onboard the user over a longer period of time, let's say a first week of the user's lifetime inside the app. So during that week, you can start sending notifications promoting your killer features, showing the value of your application, showing how other users already benefit from your application, or maybe promote your paid subscription at the end, right, if you have it. And just right now on the screen, you can see an example of such automated journey that lasts for a few days. It can be extended for 30 or days or even more, right? That allows you to automatically onboard your users. The features that can be promoted at this stage should be relevant for your application, of course, but that can be something like subscribe to certain news threads, or maybe subscribe to the comment updates on the certain certain article, right? Or it can be maybe have some weather updates or rain radar or pollen status for those people who suffer from allergies. Or if it's a sports application, it can also be kind of a subscription to the match updates, so that if you provide those in real time. So a lot of cool things, right, that can be promoted during this extended onboarding period, and we highly recommend using this in combination with the onboarding screens or separately. It doesn't matter. So, but just don't be shy to do that, right? Don't be shy to build that habit and educate users, because if you don't do so, they would just forget about your application. They might forget about your application in a couple of days. Okay, let's move on. One more good practice about onboarding, forgot to mention that one, right? So this one is specifically for the subscription-based applications. Right, so if you have different types of subscriptions, it might be a good idea to promote this subscription by showing the paywall right at the end of the onboarding period. Because surprisingly, but a lot of marketing research show that like over 60% of purchases are made at the end of the onboarding period, within that first stage of the user's life cycle, right? So don't be shy to show it right at the beginning. I mean, at the end of the onboarding stage, at the beginning of this onboarding, at the beginning of the user's life cycle inside the app, right? So during the next couple of slides, I'm going to talk a little bit about the features that Pushwoosh offers you to help you grab the user's attention from day one, right? And the first two relate to notifications which are time sensitive, right? If you're talking about the sports updates or breaking news, speed is everything, right? You want to be the first to deliver that update to your end users. And the way it is, like the way the segments are addressed across the industry, and most of the vendors handle the similar way, right? So it's basically when you start the send out, the vendors start to calculate the segment, the relevant segment of those users who are supposed to receive the update, right? And if you have a big user base, like 1 million or 2 million users, right, that might take a while. That is why within Pushwoosh, we have a specific functionality that allows you to keep the so-called high-speed segments calculated and ready for the send out at every moment of time, right? So that significantly reduces the time to delivery, and basically you can deliver important updates within seconds. And next one, also a cool feature that we have to speed up the news delivery is called the promote news functionality. So basically, it's a simplified interface that has all the default platform-specific settings, and that kind of auto-populates the fields such as title, the content of the message, the image from the website. So in order to be able to use this, you have to have a few tags in the website source code, right? So that you can just insert the link that contains the news that you want to promote, and we would automatically extract the relevant data and insert it into auto-populate it into the fields, and then you just can deliver the news in no time. And so at the two previous slides, I talked about the instant delivery, but sometimes you might also want to promote some editorial content, right? That usually contains some sponsored advertising, and for this type of content, it is better to understand the user's behavior and users' behavior patterns to understand when is the right time to deliver, right? So for that, we have just released the functionality that is called optimal time to send. So basically, there is a heavyweight algorithm under the hood. We analyze the application open events timings and push open event timings, and the calculations are done per user. So per every user, we can understand when is the best time to deliver, right? So when the user is more likely to follow your link, the deep link inside the push notification, and open up the application. And of course, you have to mind the silent hours, right? So always respect the silent hours according to your user's time zone, and that is also available within Pushwoosh. Okay. Next challenge that we want to address today is basically how do you stand out on that tiny lock screen, right, of the end user's device. We receive so many notifications these days, and especially after the pandemic, people are just have that push fatigue sometimes, right, and just generally we're kind of tired of getting too many messages, right? So what can we do about that? There are a few ways of how you can make your notification more noticeable, right? And the first one is to use media attachments. So for Android, that is an image, and for iOS, you can even attach a GIF or a short video. Just mind this example on the slide. I just love it. I mean, if you're delivering the sports updates, right? So you can insert that little piece of the best moments of the game, right? Or if it's just a regular news or breaking news, right? It can also be that some exciting moment from the video or some exciting illustration, right? So, and always add that call to action, right? So encourage your users to tap on a notification, to follow the link, to open up the application, to read more or to watch more. As a user, basically, if you send me this kind of little video, right, I would probably get excited and would like to watch it more, right? Watch it till the end. And one more cool way to engage users better are the custom sounds. And here I actually have a story to tell. So I have a lot of applications of our partners and customers installed on my test device. Sometimes I need to debug the integration. Sometimes I just want to look out for some best practices. And there is one application from a famous soccer club. It's basically for the fans, right, of that club. But I'm not a soccer fan at all, right? But I have that application installed, and I was just amazed at the way our customer was using custom sounds on different occasions. So basically, they deliver the match updates during the games, right? And if their team scores, they send you a notification with a piece of anthem played in the playground in the background, or if there is like a notification about like any of the players receiving a yellow or red card, there is this wooing sound. So I mean that makes you really excited and alert. And every time I receive this kind of notification, I knew instantly which application that was, and it also kind of engages you emotionally. So I'm not saying that that's the common practice that you should adopt, for every type of notifications, but there is some space for creativity here, and I think it's a good idea to explore it. And one last thing here I wanted to mention, the advanced design capabilities. So basically for iOS, you can work with the customization of the push notification even in the collapsed view. So as you can see here on this example, right? So the notification contains the little image, so it's not just blank notification as on the left-hand side. So on the right-hand side, it has more information and more visual. More visualization, so it's more engaging as well. And the last one. Okay, this one is cheaty, but I wanted to bring this to your attention also, right? So you can combine notifications into notification threads to grab more space on the end user's device, like as you can see here. So the threads can be based on the topics that you basically do the send-outs based on, right? So, but the more threads you have, the more space you obtain on the end user's device. Again, don't be spammy. Do this carefully, but also a cool way, to think about. Okay, that was all from my side I wanted to share with you today. And now we're going to talk about the most probably interesting and exciting part. So how do you keep the users engaged, and how do you make them open up the application when you want to deliver the news? Stan, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks for great tips that you shared previously, and the thing with threads pretty awesome, by the way. And yeah, so let's talk about engagement and returning to the app. Alina already discussed a couple of examples related to engagement, like better content, images, all the things related to push notifications. But I would like to add some practice advice in terms of customer journey builder and some things that you can keep in mind during your workflow of activation and engagement with the users. So first of all, apply the omni-channel communication strategy. It's important to do the proper segmentation during your sending strategy in terms of marketing pushes, right? Because we all know how to send the news messages, right? We have the news, we can send the message to the end users, we can spread them to the threads to get more attention, right? But if we're talking about the engagement after you get this bunch of users, let's say you can check this example, right? If we have a paywall with the price options for your subscription, we're talking about the subscription model here. So first of all, you can do the segmentation using the event inside the application. So let's say users just check the paywall and we are waiting for 1 day if the subscription actually purchased, right? And by doing that, we will segment users into 2 different flows here. And the second step is we check if the user is reachable by push notification. So here is the second step of the segmentation. We will extract users who can be reachable by push notification. And by doing that, we can literally get this bunch of people who have never purchased the subscription, and we can send them the subscription reminder via push notifications. And for these users who have never allowed to get the push notifications, but we have the email address, of these users, we can send the email message to them. And using that sort of approach, you can send the messages in the right way. The user, they actually, if they're allowed to get the push notification, they understand that you can send some messages to them and they accept that. But if they put the email message, they also understand that they can send the email message to them. So here's the way how you segment your users using the customer journey builder, not the segmentation block really, but the event block and the reachable by push checker right over here. And after that, you can extend your journey by checking if the subscription purchased during the next day and extend the chain further on, right? So you can send the subscription reminder the second one, or you can send the in-app message, or you can even finish the journey and launch it again, or you can do it automatically using the entry point, event entry point, and it will be launched automatically based on the user's activity, which is also part of the segmentation. So if you can track the activity of the user across the application, you can understand better their behavior, and based on this behavior, you can do the proper engagement campaigns in terms of features that mentioned Alina previously, so you can promote your killer features inside the application based on the knowledge of your users. So if you know about them, some piece of information, like they watched the screen previously, but they didn't purchase something, or they didn't subscribe to a new thread, or they didn't check the rain radar or something like that. So you can send the message to them again, so they can explore the feature more accurate later on, right? So this is about the engagement, right? A couple more tips about the messages and the other tricks that we can do within the push notification. So the first thing is you can see 2 pushes here, right? What is the difference? The difference is that there is no call to action here in this one. And there are a lot of passive active users that actually well know that you send the messages, they read these messages, the titles and all the things, and they get this news from the message itself. They never go inside the application to check the news, to check the videos or whatever, right? Because you already put some information here in the message itself. But why would you put the text like catch up now and some other call to action things to get users this understanding that they can explore a little bit more about the content? Or the cheating trick that I cannot hear as well, along with the thread thing, that you can also get your you can also put your title a little bit shorter and add this call to action sentence by the end of the message. So users will be interested in the content, and there is not enough information in the title, so they will be interested in that and go inside the application because it's like too short for them. But be careful about that. It's not like it's really you need to be careful about it, right? So the second thing we have is gamification, and mostly it's relevant for the sports app, for the news about these sport events, because sometimes you have a gap between your between the events, the offline events, I mean, where you would like to engage with the users and keep them alive. So here you can try the gamification, like you can put a mini game inside the application where the users can like earn some points and exchange them for tickets for the upcoming event, or do some sort of lottery where you can give away the tickets for the upcoming event, and they will be warmed up about the upcoming event, and they will be notified about that earlier, and probably they will like get some tickets and they will visit the event eventually. So you can try to do that, and there's not that related to push notifications, but of course, if you implement that sort of gamification options inside the application, you can send the messages notifying them about the timers that they have inside the mini game, or probably some lottery drops that you will have, and they need to go inside the application and check that. And the last thing here is to promote your social media profiles via push notifications. So it's important to have users in the platforms that they're interested in, and and where they actually mostly checking the news. So it's important to be there. And if you already have some sort of Twitter or any other platforms, and if the user comfortable with that, it's important to notify them that you have this option, that you have like a Twitter account where you share the news, or probably you have really limited content inside your private Twitter account or something like that. So you can also notify about that using the push notifications. The other cool thing about so I think we're a little bit finished with the engagement. So let's talk about reactivations. Here is a reactivation campaign for those users who opted out for push notifications, right? And here we're trying to get them back, to explain them more about what they're losing without push notifications by using reactivation campaign plus in-app messages. So here you can see the Pushwoosh application open default event that we have on our platform, and you can use it out of the box, and you can get these users who just opened the application, right? After that, you just check if these users under the condition, if they are actually subscribers, right? So it's a segment splitter where you can check if they're subscribers to push notifications, not to the subscription, but to push notifications. Remember, my device previously used the segmentation, right? So here it is. This is the segment splitter. So if users not subscribed to push notifications, we can show them reactivation in-app right after they open the application, right? You can even adjust this step by adding some sort of A/B split and add different types of in-apps here, so you can check which content works better, which the HTML page, we all know, right? The in-app messages is a simple HTML page inside the application. So you can understand better which in-app message works better. And after that, you can wait for like 1 hour, 10 minutes for them to be subscribed again, and check that again using the segment splitter here. Or you can, use the same wait for event block to check if the user subscribed for push notifications again. And you can, I see this is not finished yet. So you can understand that you can extend this journey again and again and again, and do these steps endlessly. So you can show the in-app message again and again for them. And by doing that, you can reactivate them in terms of push notifications and get them back. And here, most important thing is that the knob that you will show to them. It's important to have this content placed right and explain why they should resubscribe again. Like, guys, you're losing like the content that we produced. We would like you to see this great news. You installed our app, right? So you need to understand your end user to so you can better prepare that sort of enough message for them and explain why do they need to resubscribe. Okay. So we understand how to do the things with the push notifications, how to engage with the user, how to re-engage with them, but how we understand the results, right? The metrics. So let's start with the open rate, and surprisingly, it's not the main metric that you should track, because according to the Pew Research Center, 52% of news recipients don't click through the full story or search for more information. And I think we all know that it's even more than 52%, because users get the information from the title and subtitle of the push notification, and there is nothing to force them to open the application, but they still get the value from the push notification. They still see the news. They still watching that content that you send them, even GIF messages, images, like the previews and all the things. So it's important here to track not only the open rate, the CTRs, right, but the retention and engagement. And here's a great example, the screenshot from our admin panel from the project overview, where you can see the average CTR across the applications, which is 1%, right? And the engagement. And by engagement, you can see the description here. It's number of users received communication during the selected time period, who has interacted with that, right? And it's clearly to understand that if you send like 8-10 messages, 10 news messages to a user, highly likely they watched all of them and they click probably on the last one or on the first one, depending on the platform, right? Depending on the notification center, depending on your position in there. But eventually they will click on that and they will check the application and they will see the news, see the match score or anything you just send them, right? And it's important to understand how many users actually getting inside the application, but not the CTR, because if you send 10 messages, it's going to be 1% for each of the 10 messages that you send to them. But eventually 10% of the user base will get inside the application, and it's completely different number here. And the picture is more clear now of how many users actually getting value from the application itself, but not from the push messages, right? So the second thing here is monitor the dynamic statistics for push disables. It's the second important thing to understand if you're doing your push messaging right. So you're sending the push message, right? And you can see how many devices actually disable the push notifications in the settings. And by doing that, you can understand if the users actually get value from the push notification. I mean, when you send a notification, right, they are reading that and they are not disabling it, right? And you can send like 5, 10, 15 notifications. And if you see it here that they are not disabling that, yet you can understand this disable rate, and you can understand that you're actually providing the value to the end users, even they're not visiting the app itself, but they're still reading, they're still watching, they love you, all the things, right? You can also use these dynamic statistics for understanding better the disable rate, okay? And speaking of the reporting to the advertisers, if you have that monetization model, you can also use the advanced segmentation to provide some sort of reporting, right? And by advanced segmentation, I mean that you can use tags and events for the segmenting your users and get the number of how many users did did the event or the tag, right? So here's an example. Here I have one group. I have specific event, watch the promo. So you have the promo inside the application, you have event on that promo, and you send this event into the Pushwoosh, right? And we can collect this event and calculate how many users actually did watch the promo one time during the last 30 days. So you can understand that you can build this segment, you can get the number of devices, so you can understand how many users actually check the promo and provide that for the advertisers. On top of that, you can use this segment to do like further communication if they really check that content. It's a little bit more complex, but of course you can do that because it's still segmentation and you still will be able to send some messages to the users. Okay. Oh, I think we've done with the tips and tricks about push notifications for news and media. So guys, thanks for being with us. And if you have any questions, you can share them in this section in the comments below. So just give me a second. I'll get back to the comment section if you have it.
So far I see no questions, Stan, but we'll really love to, to have those and answer them, or at least let us know if the webinar was useful for you. If you found any insights, any useful tips and tricks that you would like to, try and experiment with, that would also, let us understand if we're, providing some useful content over here. And while we are waiting for that, I also wanted to highlight that, Stan, can you please go back to the last slide we had before?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, this one. So basically, when you're doing the segmentation inside Pushwoosh, right? So there is also an opportunity. So we provide you some default tags, such as the last application open date, right, and the push alerts enabled tags, so we can understand which users opt out of the notifications and which users haven't opened up your application for for X amount of days. For every application, the active user has, is different, right? So for some apps, like users who haven't opened the app for 7 days are inactive. For others, it's 30 days. But anyway, so if you combine these segments with the identifiers such as IDFA or AAID, this is the advertising identifiers that allow you to retarget users on Google or social media, right? So you can basically bring your audience back, collect it on the internet and remind about yourself, bring them back to the application, right? So it's just a more it's a specific case for segmentation, but yes, so combining those identifiers by passing them to Pushwoosh and building these segments on top of default Pushwoosh tags. So you can also make a lot of retargeting across the web and engage with your users even better.
Yeah, that's a good advice, by the way.
Yeah. Okay, so I see no comments and questions so far. Hope today's webinar was useful anyway. So also we invite you to check out our newest and latest updates to the ebook about the news and media application benchmarks. Let us know if you would like to also to check it out and drop us a note, and we can share the link with you. Okay, let's wrap up then. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for your attention, and we hope to see you at our next session.
Yeah, thank you so much. Feel free to send us email or drop a comment. See you in the next videos. Bye-bye. Take care.